Hey, aloha, folks, and welcome to this edition of Five Questions. It is broadcast right here on News Radio 830, KHVH, and appears on the homepage of HawaiiReporter.com, and we hope that you log on every day. It's a delight to get together with Patrick Nixon. He is president of American Logistics Association and also president of the Coalition to Save Our Shopping Benefits. And as a matter of fact, I had a chance to go on the website, and I learned a great deal that I hadn't been aware of before on saveourbenefit.org. So, Patrick, thank you very much for being with us. How are you?
I'm doing great today, except I'm here in lovely Maryland, but I'd love to be there with you, Rick, in beautiful Hawaii. I'll be there in a few weeks.
Oh, that sounds great. Well, I can imagine the trade winds aren't really swelling up around the Maryland area today.
No, there's a lot of political hot air in the atmosphere. We're right outside the nation's capital, so we have a kind of our own weather pattern here.
Oh my goodness gracious! Well, boy, that we could do an hour just on that alone, sir. Believe me.
Yes, sir.
American Logistics Association. Let's start there, if you wouldn't mind. Can you tell us about the organization, please?
Sure, I'd be glad to. The ALA is a 90-year-old trade association, and its principal purpose, mission is to promote, protect, and enhance the military resale benefits on behalf of our member companies and the military community. And our members are some of the largest consumer packaged goods companies and service companies in the world, companies like Procter & Gamble, Kraft, service companies, product and service companies like Hewlett-Packard, and member companies that from the islands, like a long-standing member is Diamond Head Seafood and my good friend Mike Irish. So there's some local companies that are members as well, and we work to bring the resale leaders, the senior executives of the resale commands, together with the leaders of industry to help define strategies to make these benefits efficient and effective for the American taxpayer, and they truly are. This is really a success story, and it's one of the best demonstrations of public-private venture that you'll find in the United States, where through a cooperative effort, industry works very hard to promote supply chain efficiencies and operating efficiencies to help these benefits be delivered in an efficient manner to make sure that they're really a true value to the military patron.
Amen to all of that. And you mentioned the Coalition to Save Our Military Shopping Benefits, president of this organization as well. What's the primary focus there, Patrick?
Well, while the ALA, our focus is principally on our member companies, the Coalition's focus is on the military patron and the American, and any American who's interested in making sure that our military are being taken care of. And the Coalition was formed to make sure that the patrons understand the value of their benefits, place that they can go to and they can get straight answers on any of their questions that involve the resale commands. We put out a lot of information about the exciting things that are happening in the stores, both locally when new stores are opening, special sales events. The most important thing we want to do is for the patrons who are authorized to use the stores to shop and to patronize the stores, because that's the best way to protect it. Mm-hmm. The other thing we do, Rick, is this is a forum where we keep the patrons informed if there are any particular threats that they need to be concerned about. And with the huge budget crisis that we're facing in the near future, a lot of these programs are going to be challenged. And the one thing we want to do is to inform everybody just how valuable they are, and then just how efficient they are. These are truly a good deal for the American taxpayer when you look at what they return for what the investment is.
Well, and also, Pat, I just want to say, just full disclosure, I always bristle whenever I hear folks that are critical that the United States military men and women and families, receive benefits at the PX or at the commissary or at the NEX or whatever it might be. And the reason why because I think it's a minimal amount of remuneration for what our men and women, what they endure, sacrifices that are made for their own families and obviously putting their lives on the line for us. I can't imagine that folks are in opposition to that, but do I understand correctly that there is a move afoot to perhaps even dismantle and do away with the commissary system?
You know, there's been a couple moves of late. There was one in the Congressional Budget Office did a study back in the late 1990s, and I happened to be with one of their economists traveling around in Europe while they were analyzing these programs, and they put a report together that resurfaced in probably 2005, and it's kind of taken on a life of its own, where they say that you could consolidate commissaries and exchanges, eliminate the appropriated fund support, that's the taxpayer support for the commissaries, raise the prices by 7%, and then have a graduated benefit where a junior enlisted would get a voucher for a certain amount of money, senior enlisted would get a little bit less, officers would get a little bit less, and retirees would get nothing. And that popped up, that's popped up in a few amendments over the course of the last 12 months or so. Fortunately, we were able to go and educate the members of Congress that the study really doesn't hold water. When you look at what the collateral damage would be, just an example, Rick, 62% of the employees at the Defense Commissary Agency are veterans or military family members. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, let's just throw them out of work.
Right.
In 2009, the use of food stamps in the military went up 70%. Now, how can we as a nation sit by and considering what we ask our military men and women and their families to do? We're fighting two wars. We've been fighting them for over a decade. The deployments and the stress on the families is just incredible. But to think that their military families that have to use food stamps are even more devastating than that. Stories about military families standing in lines at food lockers around holidays in order to get food for the family. Mm-hmm. That's not how we should treat our military. So we need to make sure that we keep an eye on that. But in this morning in Politico, an article written by Michael O'Hanlon called mm-hmm. Getting Real on Defense Cuts specifically calls for the elimination of commissaries and exchanges as part of a revamp of military compensation. Just an offhand comment like that from someone that really doesn't understand just what the return on to the taxpayer on these programs is. It's just devastating, and it takes double the effort to push back on something like that. And that's why I say, for the military family members that are listeners, to go to saveourbenefit.org, and you'll get the latest information on what these threats are, what we're doing about them, what you can do about them. It's important that everyone stay informed, and especially at this time when people are saying things like this. I could go through the litany of just the savings itself at the commissary are mm-hmm. a 2-to-1 return to the taxpayer. Mm-hmm. When you talk about the employment opportunities, you talk of the fact that if you eliminated overseas stores, the cost of living you'd have to pay. These are actually company stores. The buildings are built with money from the shopper. The 5% surcharge of the commissary, the moderate markup at the exchanges, those funds are used to recapitalize the system. So they build their own stores, and then they turn them over to the government inventory. Billions of dollars that the patrons have put into the system, mm-hmm. and yet someone comes out, with an offhand comment like this, we just should do away with them, without any analysis of what the impacts would be. That's what we need to be on guard for.
We're talking with Patrick Nixon, and we appreciate his time today on this edition of 5 Questions. We've already gone through more than a few, but fascinated to hear the efforts that are underway on the behalf of our men and women in uniform. So, Patrick, many kudos and thanks to you for that. We talked about commissary shows, and that a military commissary show is coming to Hawaii, but can you tell us a little bit about what a commissary show is and what's happening here at home?
Yeah, it's we call it the ALA Hawaii Food Show. Okay. And it's not just commissaries; it's also the exchanges. It's been in place now, Rick, for 16, 17 years. Started out real small. There was, I think, in its first iteration, there were 2 companies, and it was out at Turtle Bay, which is a beautiful location. Now it's up to like I say, there'll be 80 booths at the Hawaii Prince Hotel on August 22nd. Unfortunately, the show's not open to the public because the purpose is for companies to introduce their items to military executives and buyers. So they're going to be 50 military executives. They're representatives from the Defense Commissary Agency, the Army and Air Force Exchange, the Navy Exchange, the Marine Corps Exchange, and the Coast Guard Exchange are all going to be represented. And this year, there'll be 18 new companies that are making presentations, companies like Aloha Friday Beverage Company and Golden Coin Company, and Hawaiian Springs, which is a neighbor island company. Last year there were close to 500 new items added from companies that have existing contracts, and then companies that were, in fact, with the Defense Commissary Agency issued 9 new contracts in last year's show. So it's it's a real. It does a couple things. It demystifies the military marketplace, which can be a daunting. Doing anything with the government can be a daunting experience. But government buyers will come out ahead of time, and they'll show the new companies how to fill out their forms. Every company will get feedback from the buyers one way or another, whether their items are picked up or not. After the show, they'll get feedback about maybe an alteration they should make to their packaging or something that they could do better if their items weren't picked up so that they'll have a better chance next year. When you look at the amount of business that's done in Hawaii from the military retail system, it's got to be close to $750 million. Just at Pearl between the NEX and the commissary there, that's about $300 million a year in business. So there's a tremendous opportunity, to start small and then to build a real base. About 30% of the items in the NEX at Pearl and at the commissary there are local items. That's a huge opportunity, and we're glad that the ALA can help do it. We want to promote, enhance the military benefit, and the folks in Hawaii love to shop at their commissaries and exchanges.
Amen to all of that. Yeah, go right ahead, Patrick.
Also, they save. It's the largest savings in the world because of the cost of living. By shopping at the commissary in Hawaii, you save over 50%. So that's a huge benefit, and equally recognizable savings at the exchanges. So these resale benefits are more important in Hawaii than any place else in the world. The other thing that's unique here that's really a benefit is there's so many local uniques in Hawaii, whether it's seasonings or sauces or flavors or aromas and taste, and everybody falls in love with them as they move through, whether it's the Hawaiian host or the coffees. When they travel around the world, they call back to their commands and say, hey, can I get my chocolate covered macadamias, and so you can start small and you can end up with an international business base. So it's a great story. We're just glad we're happy to be part of it and help promote this great partnership between the business community and the military in Hawaii.
I love all of that and more. And the great thing about it, the impact is very apparent. It's quantifiable. And I believe it's a remarkable benefit that still needs to remain with our friends in military service, because I think it's a great expression of the aloha that we have for them and for what they do. What I'd like to do is just turn it back over to you, Patrick, for a few minutes and really just give us some final thoughts about the scenario that we have today with our U.S. military. You alluded to some of the statistics that shows financially that some of our friends and families are having a struggle, and really just kind of put a bow on our discussion as to the importance not only of the work of the ALA, but other folks who are assisting our men and women in uniform financially to help them, be able to live a life that they so richly deserve.
Yeah, I would be glad to, Rick. And first, thank you for this opportunity to talk about the great things that are happening in the upcoming show, and the threats that our military that we're being faced with these impending budget reductions. A family of 4 shopping in a commissary and exchange can save between $6,500 and $7,000 a year, and that's college tuition, that's a car, there are a whole lot of things that can be expensed with that savings. And the thing I always say is, when I had the great opportunity to work at the Defense Commissary Agency, and I know this in this community we're in, that where we get up every morning and we devote our efforts to helping our men and women in uniform and their families. I can't think of a better job to get up to each and every morning when you're knowing you can do something to have a positive impact on a group of people that put their lives on the line each and every day for our freedoms. There's a lot of talk around about the 1%, the Wall Streeters. Mm-hmm. I look at this is the other 1%. This is the 1% of Americans that fight 100% of our battles, and there's too many people that are sitting back and not recognizing the commitment that they're making to America. And so that's why I bristle as well when I see someone challenging these benefits and challenging the compensation. When you have a military family on food stamps, and you have them when they travel around the world, they pick up every 3 years and they move and they go to a new location. The highest unemployment rate in our country at 26% is military spouses, and they want to do away with the number one employer of military spouses, and that's the military resale system. Just makes no sense, and we need to step up and we need to say stop. And I really appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk about this, and talk about how important these benefits are. They consistently rank as the second most important to the military community next to their healthcare programs, and they're the focal point. They're the touch of home, the little bit of America that goes around the world wherever the troops are stationed. There are military exchanges in Afghanistan. There were military exchanges in Iraq. Wherever the troops go, the resale programs go with them. And you just can't step up and say we need to do away with this. That makes no sense. These are important programs. We need to step up and we need to support them.
Well said, Patrick. And what I'd like to do is, if you could share any contact information where folks listening right now can assist in any way, how would you recommend they do so?
If you go to saveourbenefit.org, SAVEOURBENEFIT.org, you'll have a wealth of information there about what you can do. There's a Facebook that you can friend, and you'll get all the latest information. It also gives you instructions there if you'd like to pen a note to your elected representative, making sure that they support these important programs, and gives you the opportunity to do that as well. And if you need any more information about the food show, you can call locally there in Hawaii, Sharon Zambo Fan at 804-384-8868. And Sharon can give you information about how to prepare for the program, how to register for next year's program, and just ask some general questions about how the program is put together. And Sharon will answer those questions for you. So those are the two important pieces of information for contacts that I can give you today.
Well, I can't thank you enough for taking the time, Patrick. You've edified us on a topic that does deserve a tremendous amount of attention. We're hopeful that your good work with ALA and beyond is going to stave off any of these harebrained attempts to diminish the provisions that we have for our military families. And I want to thank you for all the contact info. I'm sure our friends are going to respond. So Patrick Nixon with us today, President of the American Logistics Association and the Coalition to Save Our Military Shopping Benefits. Patrick, I hope we can have a conversation again.
Look forward to it. Thank you, Rick.
I appreciate it. Take care. Aloha.
Aloha.